Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. Our title sponsor for the Builders of Authority podcast is Go High Level, also known as GHL to many in the community. GHL is the first ever all-in-one platform that will give you the tools, support, and resources you need to succeed and crush your marketing goals. Personally, I have used this software since 2020, and it's been a game changer for my business and our clients. If you are looking to level up your CRM and marketing game, then this is the platform to use. You can find a link for a free 14-day trial in the show notes. So take advantage of the opportunity to adapt GHL's amazing software and grow your business in the process. Quick reminder before we hop into today's episode that we are continuing to grow our Builders of Authority community online. Builders of Authority is committed to helping you become the authority in your industry with personal branding. We have our free Facebook group that you can join by typing in Builders of Authority into the search bar. And in that group, there's daily content, weekly live trainings, and much more. We have our Builders of Authority Mastermind, which includes a private Facebook group, 2 live weekly trainings and sessions, and access to our personal branding course and more. Reach out to us at buildauthority.co or send me a DM on social media and let's have a conversation. Our next BOA Live event is happening on Wednesday, June 26th here in downtown St. Louis. Tickets are on sale now, so go over to buildauthority.co/event to grab yours today before it's too late. Today, we are doing a solo episode. I've done a few of these, and the last one was announcing the transition from the Entrebrewer podcast over to Builders of Authority. I really enjoy these solo episodes from time to time, and who knows, maybe we'll start to do more of them. I do a lot of content, though, on social media, so I think people hear from me enough. But today, I had the opportunity. I wanted to dive in a little bit to our company, Builders of Authority, further. So if you follow me on social media, then you probably know at least some of what we do. But for those that mainly listen to the podcast or watch the videos on YouTube, hopefully this will bring some clarity to everything and help you understand how we help people grow their personal brands. So I want to walk you through a little bit about our Builders of Authority journey, how we got started, really how the idea was even, came to inception, right? So we threw our first Builders of Authority live event back in March in St. Louis, and it was incredible. Had about 60 people there. And I started off the day and I walked people through the entire journey. I did an entire presentation where I wasn't talking necessarily about the personal branding strategies that I teach people, but I was walking through why Builders of Authority ultimately came to life. So back in 2018, I invested $7,000 into a digital marketing course. So I was in medical device sales, as many of you know. I spent 3 years at ResMed, 2 years at another company here locally before that. And as I was promoted at ResMed, making really good money, but I was traveling all over. I had just proposed to my now wife, Delaney, and I knew that we were going to be getting married a year later and eventually obviously having kids. And we just had Murphy back in September of this past year. And so I was thinking about all the things I ever wanted, right? And so for me, it was, at a young age, really money and success driven in motivation. Well, after making some pretty good money at ResMed, I realized, hey, I really want the freedom. I want the freedom to work when I want to, where I want to, with who I want to, and how I want to. So I'm sitting in a hotel room in Kansas City, Missouri, after traveling for a couple of straight weeks, obviously being home for part of them, but like 3 out of 4 days for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And it was right before Thanksgiving, so I was getting super excited to get back home and celebrate Thanksgiving with our family. And in that process, I'm sitting in a hotel room and I'm like, man, there's got to be something else out there for me to make money. And so I typed in how to make money online. And of course, all the different ads started popping up. I went back over to Facebook. I started getting retargeted, remarketed, all those different things. Everything from Amazon drop shipping to eBay reselling. I don't think crypto was really around at the time, but like that would have popped up as well. And I got retargeted by an ad that had this pretty picture of a large apartment complex building. And basically the copywriting was incredible. It was on point. It was like, what if you could own this property? Because I was also looking at regular real estate as maybe a way to make some money. What if you could own this property without actually owning the building? That was what they were selling. They were selling digital marketing training, mainly website design and search engine optimization, so that I could build websites, rank them, and then get paid on them as a quote unquote digital landlord. So I bought that course for $7,000 back in 2018. I started building websites. And from 2018 to 2020, I built 200 websites essentially on my own with the help of a couple virtual assistants, where I was really learning the in and out of website design and search engine optimization, because I knew that eventually I would want to go full time with this one day. And I didn't want to just like limp into going full time with it without a bunch of case studies and without a bunch of experience. So I didn't really make a ton of money because I was spending a bunch on building these websites and things like that over the first year and a half, almost 2 years. And then an opportunity to go full time happened in the midst of the pandemic. So I was in 2020, I woke up and I was like, hey, at the end of 2019, I said, hey, we just got married. 2020 is going to be the year in which I leave ResMed. And that obviously happened about 6 months sooner than I had anticipated, because I was waking up super early in the morning and I was just building websites, doing all of this stuff, ranking them, getting paid per lead, per performance, all these different things. But I started to gain some momentum. I started to make some money. I started to have more clients reach out and ultimately pay for, websites and things like that. And so in that process, I'm having a lot of conversations with people that I am ultimately selling these leads to or building websites for. And when I went full time in July of 2020, the one thing that everybody had consistently told me is, Adam, we hate working with marketing agencies. And I'm sitting here building all these websites for free and basically only getting paid on performance. And there's agencies that have been out there for 5, 10, 15 years that didn't have actual case studies of anything really in a particular industry that they could actually go show somebody. So I'm sitting here, don't even have a legitimate business, but I have actual results. So I'm like, okay, I have a sales background. I know I can be successful with this. So July 2020 comes around. I go full time. I put my 2 weeks in. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. And, I obviously think I'm crazy at the time as well, after I realized a month in, like, I don't really know how to grow this business. Reason personal branding comes into play is because at ResMed, there was one other competitor that we had to sell against for devices, and like 2 other competitors that we sold against for masks. So ResMed sells CPAP equipment, masks, all that good stuff. So I just had to be really, really good at my job because ResMed's products absolutely phenomenal. And so I got into the territory and I started building, cross-selling, solution selling, upselling, all of those different things. And then I started taking some market share away from the main 2 competitors, right? But I didn't have to go compete in a sea of hundreds of thousands of competitors like I ended up having to do in the digital marketing space when I went full time. So I'm sitting there in August of 2020. I'm like, I have no idea why I just did this. Of course, I'm starting to like gradually grow, but I'm from a sales background. So I'm trying to figure out how I grow quickly, how I get more people in the door, how I generate leads for myself, all of these different things. And so I joined this mastermind called Apex, which I'm still in to this day. And it taught me the idea of really building your authority, building your machine, as they call it, doing personal branding, posting content, starting a podcast, getting a guest on podcasts, like the whole gamut, right? And so as I started to do that, I started to see some momentum, right? The momentum took about 90 days, but after 90 days, things started to really grow. But it was at that moment where I realized like, oh, hey, a lot of people really aren't doing personal branding in the digital marketing space. Most of them are doing cold DM or cold calling or cold emailing or spamming type of activities. And I'm really unique in the fact that I have this agency that I fortunately and unfortunately know how to do everything primarily from the product side. So that was one of my bottlenecks, is I wasn't able to grow as quickly as I would have liked because I was the one building a lot of the websites. I was the one doing a lot of the SEO. I was the account manager, sales manager, accountant. I was wearing every freaking hat under the earth. And then ultimately I ended up merging my agency with Height, which is where I was at for 3 years. And I did that and I really started to grow because all I really had to do was go run the business and sell. I ended up hiring more people. I had the fulfillment figured out. I had all of those things. But it was at a perfect time where my personal brand was really, really starting to take off. And we hit our first $1 million in 15 months. Then we got as high as $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue and just really started to grow, all literally in a 3-year period. Most of those leads and all of the leads that I'm essentially really getting here today for Builders of Authority came from personal branding. So as I start to put myself out there even more, I start my podcast. I've been a guest on over 200 podcasts. I've spoken on over 50 stages in person. That doesn't even include all of the virtual events, all of this stuff that's really happened in the last 2 years. Coming up on 3.5 years, essentially right now, almost 4, of doing a lot of the personal branding stuff. People started to say, hey, Adam, I hear your talk. I hear you teaching all this stuff and I love it, but you don't have anything for me to essentially buy or get into. So people ask, do you do coaching? Do you have a mastermind? Do you have a course? Do you have all these things? And for 2 years, I literally just said, no. So everybody might think, oh, Adam just started a course. Adam did all this stuff. Well, one, I created a very successful multi-7-figure digital marketing agency in a very, very short period of time, leveraging all of the strategies that I teach inside of our program. But 2, I told people for a very long period of time, I don't feel as if I have a whole lot of value to provide. I don't want to start this. I don't want the shiny object syndrome because I've started multiple other companies throughout this time period as well of running the agencies. And so I was really starting to take a look at kind of where I was at in the process of everything. And last summer, I became a partner at Height on a full level, not just as a franchisee. And my goal was, of course, to really work myself out of the business. And in that process, I realized after Murphy was born that I could have an opportunity to do something with what is now Builders of Authority. So I was sitting in a virtual event that I was going to be speaking at, and we were on the speaker call, and they were like, hey, this is in August of 2023, and they were like, hey, we need everybody to put a freebie together. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't know what a freebie would be about personal branding. I've never built a freebie, an ebook, a lead magnet, whatever it is you want to call it. So I had our team put together about a 25 or 21 page document on the 7 steps to $1 million business that I used from a strategic standpoint in order to grow our agency from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months. And so I basically just took what was, my daily habits. I took the thought process behind it all and I put that into a PDF. And then in September on my birthday, I said, hey, it's my birthday. I'm going to give this lead magnet away for free. Not necessarily thinking a whole lot of people were going to be interested in getting it. Well, to this day, it's been downloaded or asked for or whatever you want to call it over 500 times. It's the pin post on my Facebook page and people were like, Adam, you're on to something. Not that I was teaching anything or sharing any tactics or strategies that people already hadn't heard of, but they liked how I combined it all. They liked the methodology behind it. Really, people were needing discipline. They were needing accountability, and they were needing a little bit of feedback on what it is that they were doing. So Murphy ended up getting born literally a week after my birthday. So we're a week apart. So I have this momentum, but I'm like, hey, I'm getting ready to have a kid. I can't really do a whole heck of a lot with this. So Murphy's born a couple weeks into October. I'm literally sitting there on a walk and I'm getting finished up and I'm like, hey, I had somebody else reach out. They read the PDF and they're like, this is incredible. What do you have to offer? And I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, what can I name this group? Because I think strategically have not been great at naming things, I would say, but other people would tell me different. But of course, I'm my own toughest critic, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm like, authority builders. So I'm typing that into Google. I'm on my walk. I'm doing all these different things. And there's already a company out there called Authority Builders. There's a bunch of other things that I'm like, authority is what I want this to be the main part of it, because that's what I've built. I've built authority in digital marketing. I've built authority in personal branding. I have built authority as a serial entrepreneur, if you will. And so I'm like, that needs to be in the name. And then I was saying building authority. And then I came on Builders of Authority because I believe we're never done building. right? Like the never stop building mentality. So we're consistently building, even myself, right? So Builders is just a way to be able to combine a lot of the things that were in my head. And so I'm sitting there. So I go to buildauthority.com, of course, taking a couple $1,000 to even try to see if I can get it. I'm like, yeah, I'll just go do buildauthority.co. I'd rather get started. I don't need a ton of crazy SEO, all that stuff, but at least I have that. So I bought that, and then I went in, I was watching the Mizzou football game in my basement, and I'm sitting there on Fiverr and did like the AI version of whatever thing I have on there to make this logo. So I made the logo, and then ultimately made a post a couple of days later, and I was like, hey, we're going to launch a free Facebook group. So I said, hey, we're going to launch this free Facebook group. It's going to launch, probably later this year, all of this stuff. But my intention at the time was just to have the free Facebook group. And so then I started getting feedback from people. They're like, Adam, you need to get paid for this, right? You're not going to love doing this if it's only free, And so then I'm like, okay, crap. Now I got to figure out what the deliverables are. I got to figure out all these different offers. I got to figure out what we're going to charge. I got to figure out all of these different things. And so I started to craft some of that stuff up. And then I realized like, okay, what better way to kind of announce Builders of Authority than with a webinar? And so I announced that I was doing a webinar. It was the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I started to do a bunch of promotion, yada, yada, yada. I used a lot of like creative memes. I started posting just all the time about it. And we had over 300 people register for the webinar. There was over 100 people on the webinar for over an hour, which was absolutely incredible. I had a little bit of a slow start in terms of launching the program after. I did a really, really poor job. I tried to have all these different offers of all these different creative things, and people were just freaking confused. Confused buyers don't buy. And so I learned a lot in that process, and then we started to gradually grow the group. At the beginning, we had our Builders of Authority Mastermind. We had our one-to-one coaching, which is our inner circle. And then we had our course that we were selling kind of as a one-off. And so in the beginning, 4 or 5 people joined our inner circle, which also got them access to the mastermind, but they really just wanted more of Adam, right? And so as all these things started to really take off, not going to go into all of the details, but one thing led to another. And now I am doing this full time as of March 1st. And so now doing this as a full time as of March 1st, we've now grown our mastermind to over 40 people. I have 7 one-to-one clients. And then we threw our first Builders of Authority live back in March. Our second one is coming up this summer in June. But I kind of just want to walk through a little bit about what our mastermind includes, as well as some of the one-to-one inner circle stuff, and then talk a little bit about our events. But hopefully that gives you an understanding of a little bit of how this actually came into play. And of course, we rebranded the Entrebrewer podcast over to Builders of Authority. So Builders of Authority is like the main brand under Adam McChesney, right? And so with that, we launched this mastermind where in the beginning we had 3 weekly calls, which was an insane amount. We've now dwindled that down to 2 calls. And so on Monday afternoons, all the calls are at 2 p.m. Central, but on Monday afternoons, we meet for an hour and we do office hours. So basically all the members come to the Zoom call. They ask questions about personal branding, social media content, really what's ever on their mind. They get answers from myself and then other people inside of the group. And then on Wednesdays, we do a specific training based on what topic we're focused on this week. So as of the recording of this episode, for example, we talked about this week on bridging or merging the gap between personal branding, posting a bunch of content, getting all the vanity metrics, but turning those vanity metrics and the momentum into actual sales. Last week, we talked a little bit about AI and ChatGPT on how to leverage those things in order to produce more content, right? So those are some of the things that I will do, like a large training to our free community or just all over the internet, and then I'll break it down even further in our small mastermind group on Wednesday. Everybody gets access to our 7-step personal branding course, which we used to sell that for over $1,000. And then they get 2 accountability calls for 30 minutes each every single month with Lorna, who's my executive assistant. And that was something that we changed in April, which really, I think, skyrocketed not only new members coming in, but the existing members getting more value. Because Lorna has worked side by side with me now for almost 5 months. She sees exactly what I see with all of this stuff, but I only have so much time. So we were able to leverage her in a different way, provide more value, accountability, etc. But she's been helping our members in an incredible way. We have a private Facebook group with all of our members, and then we have all the past recordings and all of that stuff, which has been awesome for the new members to come in, and then they get access to everything historical. But our mastermind continues to grow. Right now, at least as of this recording, it's $250 a month or $2,500 for the year, which gets you access to 2 free months by paying for the year in full. Every single member gets a 30-minute onboarding call with Lorna, going through our entire program, make sure you have access to everything, and really answering a bunch of your questions and understanding who you are, your goals for both your personal brand and for your business. And then we have some one-to-one inner circle clients. Those I'm taking right now on basically a application type basis, if you will. That's $1,500 a month. And what we have done there, $15,000 for the year. What we have done there is you get 2 45-minute calls with me every single month, in addition to access of everything that you get in the mastermind. So that's just a little bit level up, where I'm crafting a personal branding plan, strategy of attack, if you will, for you, one-to-one, in addition to getting access to the group mastermind, which has been very, very valuable for those members as well. Because really in these communities, what I've learned, not just being a member of communities, but now running them, is that the mastermind itself is only going to be as good as the people that are in this group, which is why I have a huge focus now of continuing to build our group and push it over 50 members, and then push it over 75, and then push it over to 100. Those are some of our next benchmarks that we have for ourselves. So we have those going on, and then we have our Builders of Authority Live. So I announced, basically back in December, like, hey, I'm thinking about throwing another event here in St. Louis. I threw an event 2 years ago, basically on my own. It was a free event, had about 30 people there at Spark St. Louis, which was my old co-working space. But I didn't throw another event, even though people had been asking me to do that. So we launched our first event, launched it with one of my buddies, Sebastian Rusk of Podcast Launch Lab, who's helped kind of rebrand and brand the first podcast that I launched. But long story short, we threw this event, about 60 people, 8 speakers. It was just phenomenal. It was downtown at Tech Artista, which is where we're hosting our next event. But basically, it was a one-day event with a VIP event at the Blue Suite after that. And then we did a little breakout session type event the next day. But this go around, we're just going to do one event. But I realized all of my different worlds colliding, right? So people that I've been connected to since grade school and high school, all the way up to people that I literally had never met before came there. People traveled from all across the country. I was able to help people grow their business and their personal brands by tapping into my network and really leveraging all of the tools and resources that we have available. And we're going and doing that on an even further level coming up in June, on June 26th, right? So I already mentioned before, but you can go over to buildauthority.co/event. You'll see links to the event here in the show notes. But essentially with that, we have already 70 people that are going to be in attendance. We only have 15 tickets left at the time of this recording. By the time recording comes out, who knows how many tickets we're actually going to have left. But go check it out to see if there's still anything that are still available. We're doing a VIP event at the Cardinals game after in a private all-inclusive suite. So tickets on the VIP side are $795, and on the general admission side, which basically gets you everything the day of other than the VIP event, those are $295. So we did a pre-sale in April. We got all of our sponsors onboarded. We sold out, didn't sell out, but almost sold out the entire ticket base in just this pre-sale. So we have a ton of momentum going into about the next 6 weeks until the event actually goes. Another incredible lineup of speakers. Don't know necessarily what the plan of attack is for these events moving forward. So if you haven't bought a ticket yet, make sure to get in the room, because I don't necessarily know when the next one is going to be. Everybody's asking, hey, I can't make this event. When's the next one going to be? I have no idea. We're going to get through this one. We have to level up the experience because it was really, really good last time. We got to make it even better. So we're doing some other cool stuff there. But essentially, that is a recap and kind of an overview of everything we're doing with Builders of Authority. If you're interested in just learning about what we do and have any questions, you're going to see a link to a free, what we refer to as a value add call with Lorna, my executive assistant. That's a 30-minute call where you can ask her any questions about Builders of Authority. You can essentially go on and learn from her and get a ton of free information. And if you're interested in, again, taking advantage of this and moving anything forward, we'd love the opportunity to chat a little bit about our programs. But again, It's going to be a no pressure call. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to pay anything for that call. So make sure to take advantage of that. That's a huge value add and resource. Lorna is absolutely incredible and is really the brains behind a lot of what we're doing with Builders of Authority. She's actually traveling in from Nicaragua to come to the BOA live event, which is going to be absolutely incredible. So would love to either have you at our event, would love to have you in our mastermind, or if you need one-to-one coaching, let's have a conversation. Again, I'm not taking on a lot of those clients right now, but more than happy to see if it would be a good fit either now or in the future. And if nothing else, join our free Facebook community. It's really grown. We're over 1,500 members in just a couple of months. So I want to thank you for listening to this episode, because it was allowing me to tell my story, not just about Builders of Authority now, but how Builders of Authority originally got started, its inception, and everything that we've done from there. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM on social media. Always happy to have a conversation. Thanks again to our amazing title sponsor, Go High Level. Without them, we aren't able to produce the quality of content or have amazing guests like we typically do on our episodes. Check out their free 14-day trial in the show notes. Make sure to take advantage of that and get off to the races. Also, leave us a 5-star review. If you've been listening, this is your first episode, or you've listened to hundreds of episodes, we're making a big push for reviews this year, and it definitely helps move the needle. And with all this, remember, authority isn't built overnight. It's built over time. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.